Good afternoon to you all. As a courtesy to Philip and his guests, this seminar will be in English. Just let me give a warm welcome to Philip Ingelinem, who is the shareholder and director of sales and business development in this company, Online Birds, and he Schumann, or he didn't came, but such, well, today we have to talk like this, but Caroline Schumann is joining us from Munich. I think she's the head of marketing, and Marta Waddington here in Portugal, she is the online marketing manager. Online Birds is partner of AHP since last year, I think, and is our partner on the digital marketing and online communication. It works with us in Click to Portugal, has its headquarters in Berlin, and as the name stands for it, is a professional company on hotel marketing solutions. And nowadays, in this COVID-19 pandemic, knowing how to communicate, be more efficient, more direct, how to strengthen our liaisons with our customers, with our world, with our partners also is crucial. And everything is changing, I think. But one thing we know for sure, that tourism will be standing on for the future, and so we cannot lose our strengths, our needs to talk, to know what our customers are feeling, what is how is our world expecting to come from this pandemic, and the online marketing and communication will be for sure the future. So for my part, I only want to thank Philip and Caroline and also Marta, and hoping that a lot of questions that we have can be answered. I know also that we can put our questions in the chat. You can put it in English or in Portuguese, and I hope that we'll have a good webinar this afternoon. So again, thank you very much. And Philip, I think the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christina, for the introduction. Actually, I'm passing on to Caroline as being a gentleman and giving her the first word.
Okay, thank you, Philip. So I would like to start, and I'm really happy to hear you, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to host this event together with the AHP, and thank you on that point to the AHP, and we are really looking forward to an interesting exchange with you. And the focus in the next hour will be how you can increase your direct bookings via online marketing in times of Corona. But first, let us start with some organizational framework. Christina already said about it, but just to let you know a little bit more. So just don't be surprised because all participants are muted, and this was said just to reduce the background noise as much as possible. But you have the possibility to ask questions via the Q&A function. Please have a look around. Perhaps it calls F&A. It depends on the language which you said, and perhaps you have to switch between the F&A function and my screen. So just have a look around and make sure that you can see it. And if you ask a question there, only we can see it, and then I will take the question up and hand it over to Philip. And the whole webinar will be in English, so it would be perfect if you also ask the question in English. But if you feel more comfortable with Portuguese, we have an Portuguese employee with us. That's Marta, and she will help us if there are some communication problems. And in addition, she's available afterwards for some detailed questions. Perhaps it's easier for you to talk in one-to-one and in Portuguese. So yeah, just feel free to contact her. And yeah, before we start, just let us introduce ourselves. And so I will hand over to Philip, and he will briefly tell you something about Online Birds, who we are, and what we do. Philip.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Highly appreciate it. As my colleague told you already, we are an online marketing company focused on the hospitality industry and currently serve a lot of hotel brands, a few hundred in 10 countries. There's a very clear overview of the current situation, especially when it comes to Corona and how to face this situation. How do our customers, so we work for big hotel chains like Marriott, for small hotel groups, for even small hotels like the Santiago de Alfama in Lisbon, for example. How do those hotels cope with the crisis as far as they shared the information with us, and how relevant is online marketing actually to make good use of a crisis such as Corona, since the terms are very bad currently, but we are very, very excited which lie in this particular crisis. But first of all, as Caroline said, I'd love to introduce ourselves. So I'd love to start with Marta. Marta was actually our first employee in our Lisbon office. So we as a company do not only have offices in Germany, in Berlin and Munich, but also in Lisbon. And we started our office 1.5 years ago in Lisbon. And since we find the Portuguese market very, very interesting in terms of uprising, there is a huge potential when it comes to direct marketing, and we actually compare the Portuguese market quite with the German market, since you guys have a lot of privately owned hotel groups, etc., and which is quite similar to Germany. So this is one of the main reasons why we opened a branch in Lisbon 1.5 years ago. Then I'd love to introduce Caroline, as she was introduced by Christina already. Caroline is our head of marketing, and she's responsible for the marketing of Online Birds, but she's been one of the first people working with Online Birds from the beginning as well, so she knows every online marketing field as there is, starting from Google Ads, search engine optimization, social media marketing, etc. So she's very much into the topic, and she will actually ask the questions and will answer those questions. And I myself, I'm one of the first employees as well, and a partner of this company, as Christina said, and together we currently serve hotels all across Europe to help them to get even more and better results when it comes to direct marketing. So this, just to give you a general introduction, if we could skip the slide. Caroline, as I said, we are currently working for more than 250 hotel brands, huge brands such as Marriott with all their brands, Moxie. There is one Moxie about to open in Lisbon, close to the airport. For example, we did the social media strategy for Moxie. We work for huge hotel brands in Germany, but also chains like Accor hotels, 25 Hours hotels, you might know. So, and what we want to do within this webinar is actually to share the information. How do those hotel brands actually handle Corona? What are they facing? What are the impacts, especially on the travel market, especially on customers? And which is very interesting for you guys in Portugal is, since a lot of your market segmentation comes out, I'd say 50% of all the incoming market comes out of Germany, of UK, of Spain, etc. So it's very interesting for you to find out how those people in Britain, France, Germany, and Spain actually Google, how they intend to travel within the next few months or years. And this is something we'd love to share with you. Yeah, perfect. So I'll hand the word over to Caroline again in order to start the question area, and we'll start off with some general questions when it comes to Corona. Yeah.
Yes, perfect, Philip. We reached that some of the participants cannot see the presentation. I think you have to look down in your window, and then you can switch between the Q&A function and our screen. Or perhaps you have to expand the window. So just have a look at it. If you can't see the screen, yeah, there is an option to change between the F&A function and the screen. Okay, if you have any more questions, just write down in the F&A function, and then we will get back to it. Okay, so I hope everybody could see the screen now. So we will start with our questions regarding Corona. Philip already said I will ask the questions, and it's kind of an interview. Philip will answer the questions. So our first question is, how do our hotel customers react to the Corona crisis? Philip, could you please say something to that question?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, actually. Clients all across Europe in 10 countries. It varies actually from country to country. But what we find out and what we found out, imagine I had calls with nearly, if I take a look into my CRM system, which is just open on another 300 CEOs or general managers or owners of hotels or hotel chains, and everybody is actually not quite sure what to do and which market to focus on. But within the last 1 or 2 weeks, actually something crystallized out of this all Corona mess, which is that most of the hotels try to focus on their home market, first of all, because many countries, especially Germany, for example, we just released, our government released last weekend the information should reconsider that there will be no summer vacation outside of Germany. And this is a statement which is very harsh, and this is a statement which made very clear to the German hospitality industry as well as to other European destinations which tend to have a lot of German customers that 2020 will be a challenging year when it comes to German travelers, outbound travelers out of the German market. So, for example, the German hospitality industry starts to react on focusing on the local market because they see a chance for Germans staying in German hotels. So they are starting to communicate throughout social media, throughout search engine optimization, even especially throughout Google Ads, in order to go to all the people or to reach all the people who are interested in vacation in Germany, for example. And this actually, and we are not a mere Google partner only, we are also cooperating with Google, meaning that Google itself is investing in our company with knowledge. So we have the chance to make good use out of a lot of Google tools. So we have a closer look at the traffic at Google, which is very important, especially when it comes to travel, since you all experience for yourself that Google is the most important player when it comes to search results. And we found out that in Germany, keywords such as vacation in Germany or summer vacation in Germany or short-term vacation or weekend travels to German cities, etc., has tripled in search volume compared to last year. This means that not only the government says you're not allowed to travel, but also all the citizens are rethinking their travel plans for 2020 and trying to stay in Germany. That's no good news for the German market, for Portugal at first. But I think if you take a closer look at the Portuguese market, and this is what we do actually, this is what I did up front to prepare for this webinar, I took a closer look at Google Trends, which is a very good tool, and you guys who are keen on using Google sometimes need to make good use of this tool so you can actually access it for free. So if you just punch in Google Trends and punch in some keywords, you find out for yourself. But I looked up a few vacation Algarve, like Hotel Lisbon, like flights to Lisbon, or a vacation in Portugal, or such keywords which are really relevant and which have been very high in search volume, especially in January, and I compared last year towards this year, and actually to take a close look, there was a massive drop in search volume, obviously, since most of the people stopped looking for vacation at all. But what occurs is actually that especially keywords such as vacation, Portugal, etc., there is a pickup. It's rising again. It's been nearly zero at Google, but it's rising again up towards its original level in January. So there is, again, in Germany, the need or the emotion to plan for other holidays because, and as you guys are in some kind of lockdown as well in Portugal, as we are in Germany, the people are online. And this is the first important thing you need to realize. People are online and they are online now. So now, how do our customers react? To get back to these questions, our customers, and it doesn't matter if they are in Italy, and Italy is hit very hard, I can assure you. We have clients in Italy, they are struggling. We have clients on islands such as Mallorca, such as Gran Canaria, etc. And they are not even expecting any travels at all because Mallorca is a mere flight destination. So luckily, Portugal has more to offer. And especially since Portugal is one of the countries which is, with Germany, actually, we are approximately the same. We are one of the few countries in Europe who are doing well in the corona crisis. This might be an indicator for a lot of people rather to travel to Portugal instead of Spain, instead of Greece, etc., because those countries are struggling even worse, not only with corona when it comes to Greece, for example, but also with people fleeing from other countries, as you know, but I don't want to dive politically into this subject. But our customers are focusing on new emerging markets. They are rethinking their old market structure and trying to take a focus in 2020 on local markets at some point, but also readjusting their strategy. But one thing is for sure, America, China, and all the markets abroad who are longer distance travel markets, there will be no incoming tourism even in 2021. From those markets. So it's very important to take a closer look on your European neighbors, on all the countries who have been emerging at some point or have been interesting but are not allowed to travel yet. So our customers are trying to actually transport throughout, especially throughout social media, their website or search engine optimization. I'll get to that later, but they try to transport a message. How do hotels prepare themselves for a time after Corona, and which is important and which might affect the customer decision how to book, or even booking a hotel or not booking a hotel. Yeah. So this is just a general answer to this question.
Okay, Philip, thank you for your answer. And let us just have a look for a quick example here. It's about Borolac, one of our clients. Could you please go through it a little bit, Philip?
Yes, certainly. So we picked a few clients. This is a Grand Hotel. It's based in Zurich in Switzerland. So Switzerland has a very interesting situation, especially you might be able to compare it with Portugal as well, because Switzerland has a lot of incoming tourism. They don't really have like an in-country tourism at all, because most of the Swiss people rather tend to go outside of Switzerland because everything is cheaper than Switzerland. Switzerland is a very expensive country, so a lot of Swiss people are coming to Germany, to Austria in order to make holidays, etc., because it's cheaper for them, obviously. But now there is a complete new situation due to Corona, and especially hotels like the Borolac, for example, which is based in Zurich and has about 70% of business travelers, and not only business, but also like a mixture between business and leisure. It's very important for them to rethink their strategy and to focus on the month after Corona. And what they do is actually they're trying to transport information not only from back of the house, so they're creating stories. How does the Borolac, for example, prepare themselves on the time after Corona? But what they also establish is like they created a chat. And the general manager of the Borolac, he's very famous in Switzerland. He is very well known, for example, and he invites a lot of other hotel managers to join him on a podcast, on a live Zoom event, etc. And they are talking about things. This is from the hotelier side in order to keep the spirit up in Switzerland on hotelier side, on the hospitality side. But also, when it comes to the guest side, they try to communicate and try to make the best out of it. So they're creating webinars and online tutorials and Zoom meetings from sommeliers who are actually explaining differences between wines. They are actually trying to build up an online shop to increase their online sales of wines which are usually bought in the restaurant, but cannot be bought obviously in the restaurant right now because people are not allowed to go into this particular restaurant. So they are trying to increase, for example, sales there by creating a story. And this is actually one of the best examples which has been very important in online marketing for the recent few years, but will be very important and even more important for the upcoming years is content marketing. And as my colleague Caroline wrote in one of the articles we initiated for the German, when I speak of German, I mean Germany, Austria, Switzerland. We are the market leader in those three countries. In the German-speaking area, we always said content is king. And it has been king for the recent few years, but it will be more important than ever, especially when you take a closer look at the platform Click to Portugal, which has been initiated by AHP, which is a marvelous idea, actually, to compete with Booking.com, etc., because Portugal has so much to offer. I'm traveling on a regular basis to Portugal. Unfortunately, I'm not now because of Corona, but I will be. And I told Christina up front before we all let you into the meeting, I'm very much looking forward to have lunch with her again in beautiful Lisbon. So Portugal is a country which has a lot to offer story-wise, content-wise. And Click to Portugal, for example, has a huge chance to transport this content. And you don't necessarily create this content only for customers. When you take a look at social media, yes, it's important to get likes, but you mainly create it for Google because Google loves content and Google will thank you for providing relevant content by giving you higher rankings, by giving you better visibility. And when I speak of visibility, it always means more customers. It always means more traffic. It means in the end an increase of direct revenue. And direct revenue, and it doesn't actually matter if you take a look at a hotel in Germany, if you take a look at a hotel in Spain or in Portugal, they all are facing the same situation. You need an increase in direct revenue desperately because Booking.com and all the other companies, especially in Corona, are showing their real face. And we in Germany, we don't like it. We are a partner of the German Hotel Association as well, and they are initiating as well legal issues against Booking.com where German hotels are joining them, for example. So something is wrong there. And I see Corona as a huge chance for hotels to increase their direct revenue and to release themselves a bit more off from platforms or OTAs like Booking.com as there are. But to get back to the example of the Borolac is one of the few hotels which understood very early we have to use what we have and we have to find a way to transport it to keep our customers updated. And this is very important. And actually, and this is one thing I'd like to point out as well, when it comes to a time after Corona, we in the German-speaking area are actually facing the situation. For example, Austria is opening hotels now mid of May, or end of May, mid-end of May, and Germany will follow, I suppose, in June. So until then, our government will provide us with things a hotelier needs to reconsider whilst opening their doors. So there will be something, for example, there has to be 1.5 meters in between tables and restaurants. Buffets are not allowed anymore. Your staff has to wear masks during check-in, whatever. So this is something the government tells our industry to do. But we need to prepare to tell our customers, because when travel starts again and when borders are closing down and people tend to travel again, people will rather choose one hotel over another by choosing the one who is communicating and making sure that the possibility of getting infected with Corona is very low there. And social media is the channel to do so. Social media is the channel to provide this information to your customers. So this is something the Borolac does. Yeah.
Perfect, Philip. Thank you for your explanation to that. And we have a first question. So the question is it important to show social responsibility, for example, such as special offers for health workers? What do you think?
I think it's a very good thing actually to show social responsibility. You guys had this new platform roomsagainstcovid.com in Portugal, which has been initiated, and I find it a very good idea. We have the same idea in Germany as well. So this is something which is very important. I came across some examples of hotels who are even giving their rooms away for free for doctors and staff working in hospitals. Those were hotels, I have to admit, who actually were in the leisure area and there was no traffic at all. But they said, for example, we're giving away the rooms for free, and they had an immense social media boost. They had like 10,000 likes, a very good interaction rate. This is, by the way, the most important thing at social media. It's not the amount of fans or followers you have. It's always about the interaction rate, how many people like your posts. This is the most important KPI in social media, just to tell you. But it is very important, obviously, because people are or tending to attach more to products who are having a social responsibility in general. But you need to reconsider as well, if you do so, you have to do it for mostly the complete property. This is what happens here in the German-speaking countries. So if hotels give away their rooms, for example, to social workers, to doctors, etc., they give away the whole property. We have a few clients as well who are giving away the whole property. So this is something you have to rethink on a particular basis, meaning you have to take a closer look for each hotel if it fits to this particular hotel or if it does not. In general, I think it's a very good idea to show social commitment, yes.
Okay, Philip, so I will go to the next question from our customers. So the next question, just second. So you already talked about it a little bit, but perhaps you can sum it up. How will Corona change the travel market?
Well, Corona will very, very much changed the travel market in general, because the thing is, and there has been a very good article here in a German newspaper stating, and this was very interesting, travel will become luxurious again. This article was actually very clever, because I think, especially when it comes to business travel, which might not affect Portugal that much since you are mainly focusing on leisure, but I suppose you do have a particular amount of business travel, since I spoke with a lot of hoteliers in Lisbon when I was there back and forth. But still, business travel will not the same like it used to be. First of all, people got used to using tools like we are currently, like Skype, like Zoom, etc. So they will realize it's not really necessary to fly all across borders in order to meet with somebody. What we could do instead cheaper and more effectively online. This is something which will affect the business travel market immensely. But when it comes to leisure, I think there will be a massive boom in leisure after Corona. And this is something which is very important for me to share this information with you as being Portugal as well, because Portugal is very beloved in Germany. So we Germans, we love Portugal, and we think Portugal is one of the most beautiful countries as well. We love Italy more. This is something historical. This has nothing to do because Italy is nice or they have better food. It's just something the Germans always have a certain amount of sentimentality about Italy, but Portugal is on the top ranking. So people in Germany are facing, as well as many in other countries, unemployment, sinking incomes on a monthly basis, etc., and are not quite sure how the future looks like. But as you guys in Portugal, we in Germany had 10 fabulous years. So there was always an increase economically. There was always people, especially in the tourism sector, there was an increase of average occupancy, even a little step in average rate, which is important. And I'm convinced that people will start traveling again to Portugal as one of the first countries, because, and this is very interesting for you guys, I don't know if you know, but Portugal is one of the few countries where we have no travel restrictions from Germany. Meaning we are currently, even currently in this situation, allowed to go to Portugal without going into a lockdown, a 14 days lockdown. So you're one of the few countries Germans are allowed to travel to even now, because you have such high, low corona infection and death rates, so you are considered from the German government as one of the few secure countries. And this will actually benefit a boom afterwards. I think in 2020, it's very complicated. I don't want to create hope there, to be honest. When I take a closer look at the figures, speaking of the German market, I don't think that there will be a boom in 2020, but there will be a travel boom in 2021 because all the international travels will be postponed. I mean, international longer than 3 hours flight, 4 hours flight. People would rather choose short flight distance over long flight distance. So this will be a huge change in the travel market. I'm quite convinced, and all the figures from Google, from our clients all across, and there are more than 500 hotels and hotel brands we are currently supporting, so we have various insights. There will be a massive change there. The second change I think Corona will anticipate is mainly that people will, or that especially hotels will need to focus in 2020 particular rules they have to consider when they reopen their doors. Meaning, for example, that it might happen, possibly in Portugal, definitely in Germany, that hotels are only allowed to withdraw a 70% occupancy at the maximum. So hotels are possibly not allowed in Germany to have a higher occupancy than 70%. Meaning you have 30% empty rooms in Germany, for example. So this means in the end, you need to sell your rooms, but you need to sell them on a higher price. And this is where I'm getting back to the original intro to this answer, to this particular answer from this particular article. I was reading traveling will become luxurious again. I think especially airlines like TAP, etc., or Lufthansa, who are all struggling currently and are all decreasing their amount, will increase flight prices, but they also will increase hotel prices, hopefully in the end as well, because one has to be honest as well. In Germany, we are currently talking about 30% of all restaurants and hotels, 30% of all hotels and restaurants facing a financial crisis and are actually not sure if they can overcome Corona. So I suppose in Portugal there will be hotels as well who are struggling, but I'm quite convinced that those who have a bit of money on their bank account and who have a long breath will be the ones who will benefit from this crisis at one point, because people will try to travel as soon as they can. And I experience it from my family as well. I'm a father, I'm married, I have 2 children, and we actually planned for 2020 trips to Italy. We planned trips to Austria and to New York, for example. And we canceled all those trips, because we're not flying to New York, obviously, since you know from the media, but we're also not going to Italy since the border is closed. So what we did for 2020, we arranged for vacation in our country. And I suppose this is something you guys need to rethink. The Portuguese people might as well face a restriction in traveling. So this might be a very interesting aspect, which will be the third thing I'd like to point out when it comes to the question, how will Corona change the travel market? I'm convinced that there will be an increase of local travel in Portugal as well.
Perfect, Philip. So you talked about the future in the last minutes a lot. So let us have a look at the time now. So how can hotels currently maintain their cash flow? What are the possibilities?
Yeah. So actually, I'm not very much a friend of giving price discounts, because I think I'm actually a hotelier. I'm not an online marketer only. I used to work in hotels for 10 years before I realized online marketing is an interesting field as well. So I experienced myself more hotelier as an online marketing manager, and I've always found that European hotels are having the lowest prices they're having at the moment. So I'm not a friend of giving giving discounts, because I think we in Europe have very good hotel products in general, and we should be able to maintain a very good stable price or even increase the prices as they do in some European locations like London, like Paris, but also there is a huge potential there. So I'm not suggesting to drop prices and giving discounts. But what I'm suggesting is, and this is something you guys are using as well in Portugal, which even made it to the New York Times, which I found great. I read the article in April, the Don't Cancel, Postpone campaign, which was initiated as well with the AHP, which came to word in this particular article. This is something which is very, very important. And this is something we realized for our clients in the other countries as well. Customers want to book now, but why do they not book? And this is what the figures at Google say. A lot of people are looking now for vacation Portugal, for vacation Germany, for vacation Spain, whatever, but they're not booking because they're not sure how Corona will affect their travel plans in general and what will the effects be after Corona. So it's very important, and this is something our clients do. They tell their customers, please take your booking now or initiate your booking now, but remain flexible in the date. And this is very important, and this works out quite well as we measure throughout analytics, etc., because people are interested in booking a hotel, but they're not booking it. Obviously, because of the same reasons like you as a private person are not booking a hotel currently. So this is something we would recommend you. Offer your hotels, your hotel customers or your potential hotel customers in particular, the chance to initiate bookings, but to be flexible in the date they maintain this particular booking, and even give them an upgrade upon availability or whatever you might be able to give away. This is something which is very interesting, and this helps a lot of our clients to maintain their cash flow. If you're having a cash problem currently and are not having any money at all, we even have clients who initiate voucher campaigns, and this is something you need to focus on, especially with clients who already have been with you. So I'm quite convinced your hotels have, like all of our clients, a certain base of customer data, like email marketing. And email marketing is still the cheapest way for hotels to do direct marketing. The email is approximately 1 cent, as we marketers usually define the price per email. And this is the good thing. So you should make good use of your customer base you're having in your property management system right now. Meaning, address your customers and say, please initiate a booking. You have been staying with us. If you intend to come to Portugal again within the next 2 years, we need your help. Give us your money, obviously, initiate a booking, and we give you a 10% on top. Meaning, if you spend 100 euros on our hotel website, we give you 110 euros of value. This is something which works out with immediate effect as well. And these two campaigns is actually something we've initiated for our customers quite a lot, and the feedback we regain from the hoteliers is quite all right. It's not the best, obviously, since there's still a lot of unsecureness, so I don't want you to promise one of those being a success, but at least it's a straw you can grab for. Yeah.
Good, Philip. You already talked about the website, so perhaps we could go in detail there. So what actions should hotels take at the moment on their website?
The website is a direct marketing channel as there is. And this is something I'd like to point out, as we pointed out in every meeting we're having in any country, the website as being the most important channel initiate in direct marketing. Releasing articles in magazine, if it's sending out newsletters, or even buying as a gift to your premium yearly basis at your property. And we have clients as well, like the Villa Joya at Algarve, etc. So even if you have this clientele as clients, please understand your website as being the most important thing. It does necessarily not only have to, it has to sell. And this is a mixture which is very important when it comes to web design. And if you take a closer look at Corona currently, it's obviously very important to use your website as A lot of Portuguese hotels and restaurants, and I just spoke for a few weeks ago with the Casa Amora. I don't know if some of you know it. It's a very nice boutique-ish hotel with 6 rooms in Lisbon, 6 rooms only, 6 apartments. And they approached us and said, well, Corona is hitting us so hard. What can we do in order to maintain at least the visibility, to make sure that afterwards the people come to us first in hotels around, because there are obviously many nice hotels in Portugal, and what they do is actually they use social media very good, very intensively, and very excellent. But what happens is that people who are on your Facebook account, who are on your Instagram account, and who find the things you do when it comes to delivering food to social places, etc., find them very interesting, they go to your website. So your website is the heart of it all. And so you need to transport information about Corona on your website, saying, for example, you need to have like a statement when it comes to Corona on the website, how long your property is going to be closed. As Pedro of RP told me, you are thinking of releasing all hotels back into the market around June, July. I hope it will work out for you guys. But this is something you need to communicate if you know for sure. Of course, when you're going back to normal, or at least opening the doors, you need to communicate this on your website. But also, it's very important to actually provide those campaigns we talked about in the cash flow question. As you remember, the book now and decide later campaigns, for example, you need to integrate them as a call to action on the website. Call to action, what is this? This is an online marketing term. This means actually that something is visually more prominent placed on your landing page. And the landing page, and this is something which is very important in web design as well, is the area where you go to when you hit on your website at Google. Without scrolling, without anything. Most of the people spend only 10 seconds on this particular landing page, and we call it the above the fold part, meaning above the fold. That's all the things you can see on a website without scrolling down. And it's very important to provide all this information in this section, because people don't scroll and people don't really read. And when we just recently, which is very interesting, in cooperation with the Austrian and the German Hotel Association, there has been an inquiry or a query with Roland Berger, which is a very huge consulting firm, and they actually analyzed hotel travelers all across Europe, and they found out that by the year 2020, which is now, 50% of all Europeans will be raised alongside the digitalization, meaning all those Europeans are used to digital and they are used to surf as you are, as I am. So it's very important to not transport that much content on the website, but relevant content. And that is the part which is important, especially at Corona. Give your customers the feeling that you're handling the situation and that you're assured that you're going to reopen, and what are you going to make sure that your customers will be happy and safe afterwards Corona. Yeah.
Good, Philip. So we have here an example from one of our customers. Do you like to explain what we see here?
Okay, well, just quick and dirty, it's one of our customers. It's a 5-star property in Germany. It's actually one of the best hotels in Germany, where the G8 had their meeting, I think last year or the year before. You might recall the famous picture with Barack Obama and Angela Merkel. It was taken there. It's a very nice property, and they just transport information as we just spoke and say, please, dear guests, Castle Elmer Schloss, translated into English, is Corona, and will inform you on our newsletter, on our social media channel, talking of already, to make you aware of what we do in order to make you feel good at Schloss Elmau again. We're looking forward to welcome you again. And this is something they transport on that side. Yeah.
Yeah, good. We have another question from one of the participants. So how do you see the My segment in the future?
Well, actually think that wedding is something you can focus on now, weddings, especially arranging for weddings, because here in the German-speaking areas and in some of the European destinations we are working with, so we're working with Hungary, Netherlands, Denmark, and properties there, or even Scotland. We have a property in Scotland which is especially on this particular field of wedding working. And weddings are very interesting to promote now, if you are keen on promoting weddings, because the average planning time for a wedding is 1 year. So people who are engaged or are planning a wedding within 1 year, they start planning now, even if Corona happens, because they think everything will go back to normal. So wedding is something you can focus on. In general, I think for 2020, restrictions there, especially when it comes to huge gatherings. I think it's very good to focus there on board meetings. Our clients do, so they are actually already engaging the MICE segment, but they are just trying to make sure that only small target groups are actually addressed throughout their marketing measures. But I think this will be within Q3, quarter 3 of 2020. Hopefully in Q4, a lot of conferences, etc., will take place again. Yeah.
Okay, so just let us get back a little bit more to online marketing, and one easy way in the online marketing is social media. So why is social media even more important than before, Philip?
Yeah. Social media, and one has to understand up front the meaning of Google compared to social media. Google only satisfies, for example, and I had a very interesting Thiago di Alfama about that, because we initiated, for example, a Google campaign with them when it comes to Boutique Hotel Lisbon or Alfama Boutique Hotel. This campaign only performs if somebody is looking for it. Nobody is looking for keywords, there will be no traffic. So this is why Google only satisfies an existing demand. So creates new demand. On social media, you can proactively by, for example, defining, I'd like to talk to all of the people who are in between the age range of 30 to 65 and are already or checked in even with my competitor across the street and are interested in Portuguese culture or hotel. And you can proactively say, hey, that's us, this is who we are, and this is what we do. And that's the main advantage. Social media is exploding as the fastest growing social media network as there. Most of the users, 1/3 of those are, but still, it's one of the fastest growing social media networks as there is. So, because everybody is at home and everybody is online, and I experience it with myself as well. And this is, think of yourself. Are you online? And if so, what are you using? My Facebook stream is open. I'm chatting with my friends. I told you I used to work in hotels, so I used to live in Greece, I used to live in UK, and I have friends all across Europe, and I'm staying in contact with them. Social media or WhatsApp, which is social media because WhatsApp is in the end Facebook as well. But anyway, so social media is becoming one of the most important channels because it stands one thing up front, which is the most important due, or even it's the humane part of us. So social media interconnects people. And this is why social media is so important currently, because it gives you the chance as a hotelier to transport humane messages to people or potential clients, or even to people who are in your region, and invite them to use your restaurant because you'd like to increase locals in your restaurant, for example. And this is the huge advantage of social media. And it depends on the strategy. It depends on, and this is something which I don't really like, but you have to spend money in social media in order to gain followers. And this is something Facebook as well as Instagram, they are and listed in the stock market. So meaning they're interested in gaining money, and you can only address more than 25 people. And this is the Facebook algorithm. Unfortunately, you need to use media budget. But in the end, the good thing is everybody is withdrawing their budgets out of social media right now. So the prices are as low as they've never been before. And compared to Google, it's one of the cheapest ways to address potential new clients for the crisis afterwards Corona. Yeah. And this is one of the main reasons social media is very interesting, and it's immensely growing. It has been with our clients and new clients in the few months before Corona, but now it's even more growing. So we're even signing new clients currently who are initiating social media only. We're helping them to define a strategy. So social media is very important to communicate with your customers through Corona.
You already talked a little bit about Google, and so perhaps you can explain what SEO is and why does it make sense to be active in SEO area now?
Yeah. Well, search engine optimization, and this is very important to understand the difference, because what we experience here in Germany is that most hoteliers don't really know the difference between SEA, SEO, meta, and there are so many terms, and it is a bit confusing, I have to admit. But the thing is, SEO is the part which is not directly paid for. The client or the customer thinks. So they are not paid ads, etc. It's the so-called organic section, meaning SEO is mainly influenced throughout your work on your website. And this is why we're back on the website again. And this underlines again, the website is the most important channel for you. SEO will be influenced by the work you do on your website, but it will be influenced as well throughout off-page measures. This is the technical term, meaning throughout all the things you do not on your website. And it's actually very easily explained. For example, if you release an article about Fado in Lisbon, if you're a hotel in Lisbon and Fado is something a lot of incoming tourists are interested in, and you are writing an article in your blog spots Fado. People love ranking lists. I do as well. So you're releasing an article on your blog for the 5 hot spots for Fado, for example, in Lisbon. So, and then you post this blog on your website. So what happens is actually that Google, the so-called Google bot, is going to visit your blog on a particular basis of time. And what they are doing is actually they are monitoring this content. They are identifying particular keywords in this content, and they will give you higher rankings on particular keywords, meaning organically you increase, meaning you get more traffic. Why is SEO more important in Corona than ever? Because it takes a lot of time. SEO is always the marathon when it comes to online marketing. It's one of the king disciplines, but it's always a marathon. Meaning, if you start doing Google Ads, for example, tomorrow, you will be visible at Google the day after tomorrow. It's very quick because you're paying and you get visibility immediately. If you start doing SEO tomorrow, you will get good results in 3 to 6 months. It takes a lot of time. But in order to make sure to focus on new emerging markets, especially on Europe, etc., you have to reconsider your SEO strategy and think, what can I do? How can I position my website? Because you don't want to spend money on Google Ads forever. And this is why SEO is very important, especially to get back to Click to Portugal. This is the huge chance Click to Portugal has as a platform, for example, because there are so many hotels combined on this particular platform, and you can make good use of the content of each member and spread it alongside Google. There is such a vast potential to gain visibility organically because it's the most substantial way to gain visibility. SEO is, as I said, one of the king disciplines, and Corona gives you the chance to focus on this particular market. So SEO is very important to give you new traffic and new customers and new direct bookings.
And you already talked about SEO on the one hand, and on the other hand there's SER. And so what do you think about the SER campaigns? Do they currently make sense?
For a better understanding, if Caroline talks about SEA, we're talking about Google Ads, which is the pay-per-click model, the CPC model throughout Google, which made Google rich and one of the richest companies in the world. It is a very interesting channel in general, but currently I wouldn't spend that much money on Google Ads. I would rather focus on branding. Branding means, and this is something you might want to do after our webinar, please sit down, take a closer look at Google and just punch in your brand. Punch in Hotel Lisboa, Lisbon, for example, your name and the location you are. And what you will experience, especially after Corona, when the OTAs start working again and are increasing their marketing budget, you will see that booking.com, etc., there will be hotels.com, that there will be OTAs bidding on your name. And this is something which I don't really like, because one has to be honest with you, nobody can compete with booking.com. Not even Marriott or Starwood can, and we have clients who are spending a vast amount of money on Google Ads. Not even they can compete with booking.com. So this is why you have to understand booking.com and all the other OTAs as what they are. They are a very good partner when the client comes to your property the first time. But when the client comes to you again and comes to you throughout booking.com, you've missed a chance in direct marketing, and this is the so-called branding. You need to initiate brand ads, as sad as it is, meaning you have to pay money to put your brand on the first place at Google. It's very sad, but you need to pay for it, because Booking, etc. are using your name in their campaigns, and this is why you have no visibility. In other words, maybe another example to make this more clear, I'm a runner. I love running. And for example, if I buy at Amazon Nike running shoes, and I find myself so happy with those shoes, I decide to buy the next pair of Nike directly at Nike.com. So what I'll do, as most of the people on the world do, I'll punch in Nike.com and want to go to the webpage. But what would happen is, for example, when Amazon starts making commercials on Nike.com on the brand. Can you follow me? Meaning this would never happen in the industry. The only industry this brand bidding happens is in the hospitality industry. OTAs are using your brand names. So this is something which makes sense, especially due to Corona, since OTAs are not very active at the moment. You can, by using low budgets, initiate brand campaigns and make sure that your brand is always at first place at Google. And this is why it makes sense at Corona. But all other campaigns at Google Ads or even meta ads like Google Hotel Price Ads, this is getting more complicated. If you are interested in, we are more than happy to explain the differences, but do not initiate any other campaigns currently. Yeah.
Okay, Philip, thank you for that. We have another question. This question is in Portuguese and we will translate it in the background. But for the moment, Philip, you can perhaps go more into email marketing and say something to how should hotels communicate with their guests via email marketing.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to. As I pointed out earlier on, email marketing is the cheapest way to address customers. Still is. And email marketing has said to be dead years ago, but it's still very active, and we still have magnificent opening rates with our customers and magnificent conversion rates, which show us that email marketing is still the way to go to address customers when it comes to CRM, meaning customer relationship management. Nowadays, email marketing is, as we pointed out already, one of the best ways to work with your existing data, meaning to work with the customers who have been at your property already, have left their email with you. Hopefully you've gathered all those emails, because the email is one of the most important currencies as there are for you, obviously. And email marketing is a very good way to communicate with your customers. And how you should communicate, you should always be positive. Even if there's no way of being positive throughout Corona currently at all, it's very important to stay positive, and it's very important to show, as well as you do on social media, as we found out, what you are doing to prepare for the times after Corona. What you're doing to initiate, to make sure that your customers feel safe in your property by, for example, having a lot of outer spaces at fresh air or whatever. I don't know. But this is something you need to transpose throughout throughout email marketing. And there are ways of integrating pop-ups, etc. I'm quite convinced that there are overlays possible. There are many firms all across Europe like Triptease, Hotel Champ, etc. who initiate pop-ups on your website which help you gathering email addresses by saying, for example, please enlist for our newsletter right now and you get a 5% discount on the rate you intend to book or whatever, because the email address is a very good currency for the future. And last but not least, you should see the email address as what it is. It's one of the things you need to challenge your employees at the reception to together with each customer. Try to get every email address in the future you can get. Because, as I said, email marketing, and I'll love to say it again, is a very good way and the cheapest way to make marketing.
Super. And now we have the translation for the question, and it's about in a small boutique hotel with 30 rooms, and the hotel has a reduced structure. And what can the hotel do at the moment to become more visible? Do you have a kind of a vision for the hotel?
Yeah, so it's very difficult to do that ad hoc, to be honest with you, because one need to see the domain. We need to have a closer look in how the hotel is already listed at Google, etc. But one thing is start communicating and start focusing about the things what you really are, because this is something we experience in many other leisure destinations like Spain, Mallorca, where we all have clients. They are trying to get to every customer as possible, or as much customers as possible. But I think it's very important to focus on what you really are. Are you, as you said, a boutique hotel with an approach to arts, for example? Even maybe you are located in Porto. What are the things you'd like to talk about most, and etc. Because I see Corona as a huge chance to reposition your property. And this is something our clients, or not all of them, obviously, but many of our clients do. They rethink if it's really the way to go again after Corona as they did before. And I have an example for you, the small boutique hotel. We had a client who was in the financial crisis 2008 and 9, which hit the hospitality industry very hard. I was in hotel business already, and I experienced that, and it was a very hard time as well. Not as hard as Corona, but still very hard. And it was a business hotel. They had like 80% business travelers, but the owner always dreamed of becoming more a leisure hotel, especially in a German destination, very complicated, I can assure you. But then there came the crisis, and he decided to use that crisis to reposition his product and focusing on this particular target group as he always wanted to focus on. And he managed to swap this 80% business travel average of the general travel. He managed to swap it around to 95% leisure travel. He did not do that within 2 months. It took him 2.5 years. But he decided, and he already initiated the right ways and measures. He used social media mainly to target a new group and landing pages, etc. To do so. And this is a very good chance. So to get back to your question, to your hotel, focus on what you really like and do and what customer you'd like to address. Use content on your website, promote it. If you have a blog, promote it on Google, use backlinks, etc. Initiate maybe a long tail ad at Google, a generic ad. Long tail means more than 2 keywords. 4-star design hotel, Alfama, 4-star art hotel, Porto, whatever, because it will cost you not that much, because Google is a bid system, and the more people bid on a particular set of keywords, the higher the price it will be. So it's very important to focus on long tail and then make sure people see it, and use social media. And this is something I would recommend to you. And talk about what you do when it comes to hygienic aspects. This is very important. I hope this helped you, but this is just a brainstorming answer. So if you want to know in detail, write us an email and we'll have a look into that for sure. And we do it for free.
Yeah, I think an email is a good idea, and a telephone call perhaps is a good solution for that. And we have a few more questions. One question is regarding virtual tours and augmented reality. What is your opinion through it? And what kind of activities should hotels do in that kind of area?
Virtual reality is a very interesting field and an emerging market. 3 years ago, I would have said it's the biggest thing to go for tourism because, as you know, Facebook bought Oculus for $3 billion. Oculus is one of the most well-known virtual reality providers, and Facebook was investing in this field a lot of money, but then Mark Zuckerberg dropped this on an instant. Nobody knows why, but he dropped the whole topic, and he's burned a lot of money there. I think, especially for tourism, virtual reality is a very interesting field. Marriott initially launched a very nice campaign. You can Google that on YouTube. They placed a virtual reality boxes in front of a, I don't know the English word, engagement. When you get engaged, the institution, Standesamt, bear with me, I'm Googling now the word, there we go, registry office, when you're getting wedded, and Marriott placed 5 virtual reality boxes in front of a registry office in New York. So the freshly wedded couples came out of the registry office, went straight into the booth. Marriott gave them a virtual reality glass, and they could go to, for example, Las Vegas virtually, etc., and experience their new wedding travel, for example, upfront. So I think, especially in tourism, virtual reality is a very interesting field. One has to take a closer look into it, but I think the technology is not that much advanced, not yet, in order to actually be able to afford it in the end. When it comes to virtual tours, I think this is very interesting, especially tours in hotels and in rooms, because everybody, as we experienced, is online, and online is increasing, and your website will be the direct booking channel number 1 if you start investing in online marketing, what everybody should do at some point. People will have to have a look into that, especially when you have such a huge incoming market as Portugal has. You have 90% of your travel, I was told by the AHP, is an incoming market. Usually this will change a bit, but still. So people are having a look, and virtual tours are very interesting, yeah.
Okay, I hope that is a good answer to the question. And we have another question. So it's all about a personal contact. What do you think? Is it a good strategy to have a close contact by phone or by email just to check how they are going? And yeah, what do you think? Would that be a good strategy to have the personal contact?
Yeah. It's always a good strategy because we are humans, and very good thing, but you have to differentiate between B2B and B2C communication. We as online birds are cooperating with other companies, obviously hotels, so on a B2B level, I think the best thing, we have a very intense relationship to our hotel customers, and we are exchanging informations and a community thought at Online Birds, and I think this is very important, as you as a hotel have a lot of, well, it's very important, but when it comes to customers, I think it's very difficult to actually maintain and to use print. And this is something we experienced in Germany due to Corona, or me as a private person, again, experienced it quite now. Have been staying with, were sending me a letter signed by the general manager saying, this is that we know you've been a customer at our place for a regular highly appreciate you, and we just want to let you know we will be there after Corona for you, and we wish you and your family all the best, signed by the managing director or whoever. This is a nice gesture, I think, and this is a humane gesture, to get back to this particular word. One thing is the integration in an automated communication on your website, on your social media account. Especially Facebook has a messenger chatbot, so but it's actually a bot answering for you, even if you're a bigger hotel, because there are some hotels participating, as I saw on the list, who have 100 and more rooms. You're not able to communicate on a personal level, and bots are very good at it because they are learning. It's quite scary on a private scale, but business-wise it's very interesting because they are learning algorithms. They are learning how to answer their customers, that the customers feel they're talking to a human in the end. So chatbot is a very good version to stay in contact on a personal level when it comes to online media. And one thing is, yes, your premium best customers, so the most often that spend the most money at your obviously. And this is something which relies on your data you have in your property management. Most of the hotels are able to manage and define who are their best customers. Yeah, but it's a very important thing, obviously, and there are a lot of possibilities to transport it with.
Okay, so in a few minutes we will come to an end. So just if you have some more questions, feel free to enter them, and we will wait for a moment so perhaps we can look at some other examples of our customers just to fill the time during we are waiting. So Philip, what do we see here?
Yeah, these are actually properties on Ibiza and Mallorca, clients of us who in other destinations, since incoming tourists at all, since they're only coming in by market, no local market, because they're islands, obviously. But what they are doing is actually they are maintaining a positive tone in their communication, and they are actually maintaining to prepare for the time after Corona, meaning they are trying to increase like the engagement of the customers. But we spoke about all those things earlier on. What I love to point out, if there are no questions coming right now, since it's always the language barrier, I know we are working on our Portuguese. I'm very sorry that we're not fluent in it yet, but we have Marta, which is one of our leading online marketing managers in our Lisbon office. She will be here, and her contact details will be shown afterwards, so feel free to contact her in Portuguese, ask her every question which occurs to you, even in a few weeks. If you need help throughout online marketing, if you're not sure what to do, what to initiate, we are going to help you, and we are sharing our information for free, since Corona is a crisis where everybody has to hold each other's hand and try to go through it. And we even have social media guidelines for Germany, for example. We are translating them into English in the next few weeks, hopefully. So this is something we could share with you if you'd like to need some information there. And if any question occurs, please feel free to contact us at any time. And we highly appreciate it to have such a prestigious partner as the AHP, or that they team up with us as a German company, obviously, because we have not many clients in Portugal, but we're very, very happy to be there and talk to you. And I wish you all the best of luck and all good fortune for the future. And I'm convinced there will be a travel boom, especially also in Portugal. So please hold on. Thank you.
Okay, we had a question more. It's about the recording of the webinar. We recorded it, and we will check with the AHP how we could get this to you. And for the moment, there are no more questions regarding online marketing and Corona. So yeah, perhaps we hand over to the AHP again to have some last sentences.
Okay, thank you, Carol, for your very assertive and realistic statements. This debate was as rewarding and worthwhile for you than it has been to me. I think that learned a lot. We've heard with the most realistic approach from Philip to this new normal. And I would like also to thank Online Birds, because it has been our partner for some time. I think that it will be very interesting for you, our associates, to follow our website in hotelaria.pt, www.hotelariadigital.pt, where there are a lot of articles about digital marketing and online communication, also with the contribution of Online Birds. And as I told you before, we have a relationship with Online Birds. So if our associates want, well, although Online Birds as said to us, that they can share their knowledge for free. Other aspects that you want to work with them, I think they are well, our special partners, and I would advise you to contact them through Marta Waddington or through Waga. And well, again, it was very rewarding and worthwhile spending this time with you. Thank you to you all, Caroline for being our hostess, also Marta for helping the translation, and Philip for your knowledge and sharing it with us with such well, open mind. So thank you very much, and see you next week. In Agape webinars, we'll have 3 about accessibilities and air flights, etc. So we'll get in touch. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.